What's going on, big brother? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. You ready to keep on talking about something that's very important?
Yes, I'm very excited. And I want to say before we get off, we have supposedly a special guest coming on today. We're not going to say their name. We're not going to say where they come from. Supposedly they're coming on today. So this should be interesting just to see how everything plays out. I'll go ahead and pass it to you. You say you feeling all right today?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Chaz, this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. But I have a question for you. If you look at the bottom of the screen, and to all those who are viewing, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to view this broadcast. But it says Self Improvement 3. You mean to tell me, Chaz, we're still talking about self improvement after 2 or 3 weeks?
Yes, we definitely are. It's a must. You have to talk about these topics because it is something that we all need to develop. And like I said, I wouldn't mind doing it for 2 more weeks. This is a good topic. I want to read off a comment we got real quick. Sister Marissa's Hotel. We appreciate her for logging on. Sister Nuji says peace and blessings. We appreciate her as well.
Okay, Chaz. Well, let's get right into it because we have a lot of information to talk about. And tonight's broadcast, we're going to devote the whole broadcast to talking about the path to personal growth or self improvement. We've been talking about how we're struggling with it, but tonight we're going to give everyone some tips and pointers as to things that we can do to better ourselves. So people should really be tuned in because now we're going to give you the nuts and bolts as to how to do this thing. How do we improve ourselves, since that's one of the things that we say that many of us don't like to do. So I'm going to start it off by touching this here button, and I want you to take it away, and let's get into it as we start now with these are the paths to personal growth or self-improvement. This is how we do it. Start it off, Chaz.
Letter A, get serious about self-improvement because we all need it. And as we said before, self-improvement, this should be done for ourselves, not anybody else, not a relative, not a loved one. We should be doing this because we want to get better mentally, spiritually, physically, in all aspects. And it's not just like we have the tendency to touch one thing. Like we would say, oh, I want to get more money, which is fine. But you got to expound that and touch on it on all areas. So yes, this should be something that we take very seriously.
And we definitely all need it. You need it, and I need it, and the viewers need it, and their friends need it. Our families need it. Their families need it. This self-improvement is an issue that a lot of us going to have to address, because if we do nothing about it, Chaz, we're going to remain immature. We're going to remain childish. We're going to remain, caught up in our feelings, because when we talk about self-improvement, we're talking about some dimensions of wellness.
Right.
We often say people are not well, but if we don't improve ourselves, we are not well, because this has to do with our physical wellness, our emotional wellness, our instinctual wellness, our social wellness, and as you just mentioned, our spiritual wellness. So,
Right.
Chad, you said that we have to get serious. So when you say get serious, what do you mean in your ways or defining getting serious?
Well, because we have a tendency, like I said, to say, okay, I'm going to do, for example, I'm going to get my cholesterol down. And we
Okay.
say it, and we may really mean that. In
Okay.
our hearts,
Okay.
we really mean it. But our
Okay.
actions speak louder than our words. We are not serious. We may, like I said,
Mm.
put it off for a week or two, say, well, I'll get to it later. But we're not serious, meaning taking the proper actions to develop yourself or knock out a certain issue in your life, and myself included, because we always touch upon procrastination. And
Uh-oh.
that's one thing that, like I said, that we all must stop is the procrastination, brother.
For those who are tuning into this broadcast, the name of this broadcast is Adults Only. And tonight's subject is the third part to talking about self-improvement. Everyone should want to tune in, Chaz, because we're talking about how to improve ourselves. Who wouldn't want to hear about how to improve themselves?
B, take better care of yourselves physically so that we can improve our health. Now, I just said that, and people who watch this know I'm a stickler. I love exercise. But yes, if you can, walk, jog, ride a bike, get in the sauna, sweat out those toxins if you can. Go to some swimming lessons. Even if you have bad health, if you can't do certain things, you can still exercise, because I tell you what, if you don't, it's going to be two outcomes. One, death, or
Mhm.
B, you're going to end up going to the doctor. They're going to put you on medication. You're going to
Mhm.
be worse off than where you were before, taking all these pills. And then you wonder, well, it helps a little bit, but on the back end, you're really, really bad because those pills are tearing your insides up.
Yeah, that's true. And this is why we have to talk about improving ourselves physically. And we talk about improving ourselves emotionally, psychologically, and all of that. But it all starts with taking care of ourselves physically. If we keep pumping that sugar, that salt,
Yes.
and all of these toxins, as you just mentioned, into our bloodstream, into our bodies, when we get older, we're going to have to take these medicines, which are going to break down different organs. And before you know it, if we're not on dialysis, we're going to end up a vegetable because the medicines that we had to take all of our lives, they're going to do greater damage. So we want to encourage everybody. If you're listening tonight, we are asking you, we're begging you, we're pleading with you to take better care of ourselves physically. Quit pouring all the salt on the food. Quit eating all of the sugar, getting the diabetes as we get older. So quit smoking so many cigarettes. Quit drinking so much. Modesty is something that we need to talk about.
I want to add just something real quick for if there are any viewers who have relative loved ones that are taking medication, I would suggest this is where water kicks in a lot. The doctors are not going to tell you this, but we have to tell you this. If you are on any kind of medications, it is critical. Drink plenty of water, because when you drink that water, it's going to flush all that crap out of you. But if you sit back, you don't do anything, you pump all those pills and not drink that much water, it's going to tear you up. So yes, you have to flush that crap out, because the doctors, they're not going to tell you that because they want to keep seeing you back in Max so they can make more money.
Okay, now this next one, Chazz, we have to slow it down because this is one that people don't like to talk about. But without any further delay, I must put this on the screen now.
Seek feedback from time to time on how you'll I'm sorry, let me slow down. Seek feedback from time to time on how you are doing with self-improvement. And let me just say this.
Okay.
It is important to seek feedback, but we have to quit being so childish and petty. Because here's the thing.
Okay.
We ask for feedback. Somebody tells us something we don't like or we don't appreciate. We get angry. We get jealous. We start talking back to the person that's trying to help us. And instead of saying, you know what, let me analyze the situation and let me see what, if they're saying is true, let me correct it. Brother, we turn into some vicious animals when we get feedback, and it is not what we want to hear. And I'll just say this real quick. If it is something that we do want to hear, we have the tendency to sometimes just stop. Like, they tell us something for a week or two, and then we just stop doing it all together. So you got to be what you call consistent.
Yeah, Chazz, because this is a problem. It's problematic. When we're trying to improve ourselves and people see that we're slipping and they're coming to us in honesty and sincerity, and they're saying, we need to maybe watch certain things or start doing things that we're not doing or vice versa, then a lot of us have attitudes because there's an issue internally with many of us. And we have not come to grips with the fact that no one is perfect. Right. When people try to help us in that area, we have no business getting mean and angry, bitter, cursing people out, wanting to fight people, because many of us adults, we think we know everything. And let me just say this, Chazz, and I want to give this to you.
Bring it out.
I want to say this now. A lot of us will never self-improve because we're frauds. We're frauds.
No, come on, brother.
Well, this is what I mean when I say many of us are frauds. We're frauds because we intend to deceive other people. See, we want people to think that we're better than we actually are. You've seen that. I've seen that in your family, in my family, in our friends' family, in loved ones' families. We've seen it often. We want people to think that we're perfect and we don't have issues. But that's fraudulent, because every one of us know that we have qualities that we have to work on. And for the life of me, I just don't see how a grown person who knows that they're having issues would act like they don't and get angry when you give them personal criticism and constructive criticism and feedback to try to help them and help us become better people.
Well, brother, I'll say that. I mean, let me say us. We take things so personal. We don't know how to say, you know what, this response doesn't deserve this reaction. But if what that person is saying is true, we have to quit being so overly sensitive to things and just start taking that at face value. If what they're saying is true, improve and quit taking things so personal, because I've seen, and you have as well, where people won't speak to one another because they tried to give you some kind of self-improvement advice and they felt like it didn't apply to them.
Chazz, many of us are too old to be acting like children. If we don't have our way, we stick our mouths out. If we don't get our way, we cry like little babies. We don't even like to watch these kind of broadcasts that are serious. That lets me know that a lot of us are not the people that we claim that we are. We get attitude. We shut ourselves in. We don't want to be bothered. This is childish behavior. And yet, how will we ever improve ourselves if we're not willing to embrace constructive criticism, to identify areas for improvement? When you tell me, big brother, you're using vulgarity too much, instead of me saying, you know what, Chazz, you're right, man, I have been throwing them words, I'm going to say, F you, man. You don't tell. This is the kind of mindset that we have. It's almost like we're little kids, because instead of saying, you know what, Chazz, you're right, I need to really check myself. So we won't embrace that constructive criticism, and I won't thank you for that. I'm going to down you and go off on you.
Or I'll take it a step further. They'll flip it back on you and start talking about stuff what you did 2 years ago. Well, this is what you used to do a couple years. What does that have to do with me actually correcting an issue with you as a human being? I mean, this is ridiculous, brother.
It really is, Chazz. So here's something else I need you to read.
Letter E, make better usage of your time to self-improve and quit procrastinating. And I wrote down on my notes here real quick. We all have phones, okay? I think personally we should be having alarms and reminders on our phone. For example, 1 o'clock, exercise for 30 minutes. Set another alarm, reminder at 3 o'clock. Go out and cut the grass. After 3 o'clock, go make dinner. No, this is how you're going to make, brother. I don't know if people realize how fast time is flying. And if you don't put this stuff in what you call categories like this, you're going to procrastinate and you're not going to improve. So I would suggest that people start putting reminders and clocks on their phone to actually improve every 2 or 3 hours. That way you can knock it out. Because, brother, I'm telling you, time I look up is 12 o'clock. Next time I look up is 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm like, this is crazy how fast time is flying.
Well, here's the test that we all can look at. The test is this. You ask yourself this, and I ask myself this. And to all of the viewers, we need to ask ourselves one question, and here it is.
Okay.
What am I doing with the majority of my time? That's going to tell what's going on. And if it's not to self-improve, if it's not to look within our hearts and change the things that we need to change, or to keep doing the things that's making us better, then we as a people have really duped our own minds, because we're not doing what we should do. Because the goal in life is to be, the older you get, the older I get, we should want to become better people. But the older we get, the meaner we get, the more childish we get. A lot of us don't want to have this discussion because self-improvement is something that we don't like to do. But yet we run to churches, we run to mosques, we run to spiritual meetings, and we've been doing this for all these years. All these years we're doing this, and we're still not making better usage of our time, because that TV and that cell phone, that's where most of our time is spent, and we all know it.
Well, let me ask you this, brother. What would you say to a person who's watching this, or who may watch it on a playback and say, well, and I think a lot of us, we spend most of our times working. We work 8 to 12 hours a day. What would you say to those people who are in that box who spend most of the time working? How can they improve in this area?
Well, you have to make up in your mind, and so do I and everyone else. You have to make up in your mind that you're more important than anything. You're more important than your job. You're more important than anything you have going on. And this is why the indictment is so hard on us, because a lot of us don't want to self-improve. See, we rather watch things that don't challenge us. We don't want to watch broadcasts that teach us we need to do a better job as people. We rather watch somebody do something entertainment wise. See, we rather watch a movie, eat popcorn, and laugh. We rather talk politics. We rather talk sports, religion. We rather do those things because they're safe. See, no one is telling us to do a better job at becoming better human beings. See, but we're saying this, and this is why people don't want to do anything about it. Frederick Douglass said something a long time ago, and I just want to quote what he said. And this was in context of Europeans and racism, but I'm talking about this in terms of us as a people, what's going on now. He tells the people, he says, oh, be warned. Be warned, he says it twice. He says, because there is a horrible reptile that is coiled up in our nation's bosom, but that reptile is coiled up into our hearts right now. And the
Mm.
reptile has turned itself on our own selves. And we
Wow.
see the need for us to become better people. And that's why we don't get many people who want to do the following, which is this.
F. Work on yourself, and this will unleash the potential to be what you should be. Yes, and like you said, brother, we touch on a lot of things that need to be touched upon, and a lot of us we don't like to improve in some of the areas that we're lacking in, and if we don't, we're going to stay stagnant. So I would suggest working, try to crush them, knock them all out as best as you can in each category, whatever you're lacking in. Try to become better, and don't. And let me say this: don't be so down on yourself, because we as people, we're quick to, oh, I'm not good. I knew this wasn't gonna work out. I can't do anything. You gotta give yourself some kind of motivation and pep talk, brother.
Yeah, and I think this F is key because the first three words to me is what speaks to my heart. It says, work on yourself. See, I don't need to work on you.
Right.
I don't need to work on other people. I need to work on myself, Chazz. And a lot of us don't want to work on ourselves because we're too busy trying to work on everybody else. And this is
Wow.
a problem. It's very problematic. And this is why the nation is in the chaos and the turmoil that we're in today, because we rather work on other people. Look at your faults, Chazz. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing that. You ain't no good, blah, blah, blah. But then I don't want to look at my own life and see that I'm just as rotten as a worm in an apple. You know, we don't want to look at that. So here's what we're saying. We have to be willing to work on ourselves, and this will unleash your potential to be what you and what we should be.
Letter G, self-improvement starts internally. Make up in your hearts that we will do something about our shortcomings. And like I said earlier in this broadcast, internally means mental notes. Tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to succeed in this area. When you don't beat yourself up. Try to get better. And like I said, don't keep putting things off, because if you don't, you're just going to stay stagnant, and you shouldn't want to be this way for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And it's just a terrible spot to be in.
Your self-improvement starts internally. And what we're saying is this is for all of us. It's not just for you, it's for Chazz and myself.
Right.
We're talking about self-improvement. This is the third broadcast we're talking about it about. And a lot of us, we as a people, we don't really want to look at internally how we need to look at our own hearts. We have to make up in our own minds, Chazz, that we're going to do something about our shortcomings, because I have shortcomings. Right. You have shortcomings. Right. All of us have shortcomings. But then who's going to start working on those shortcomings? Because those shortcomings start within our own hearts. And if we don't work on these shortcomings, we're going to be what is called a person who is reprehensible. And that's a hard word, but I have to put it out there. Many of us are reprehensible. In other words, we need to be blamed. We are culpable and we are responsible. But see, a lot of people don't like to tell you these things because they like you so much. They don't want to hurt your feelings. You know, they want to say the right things. They want to be politically correct. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to listen to truth. And we have stooped to an all-time low today where most of us, instead of agreeing with this and saying, I need to work on this or I need to work on that, most of us, we don't want anyone to even talk about self-improvement. That's why this discussion is not important to many of us.
Letter H, don't allow others to change your course of improving yourself. Yes, because there are people, brother, in this life who are going to put you down, who are going to try to discourage you. And when you hear those comments, sometimes you got to turn the other way. Just don't listen to it. Tell yourself, you know what? I do need to improve in, let's say, for example, getting a better job or something to that nature. And don't allow, if somebody says or criticizes, don't let that, discourage us, because I'm pretty sure we have people in our family who are like that as well, who just so negative, don't want to see anything good going on. And they don't really like to see others succeed in life. I'll put it that way.
And I want to say something to what you just said about the family. And I'm going to tell you a quick story, and it's humorous, but it's true. And this is how we are, many of us. I had a stepfather who every 4 or 5 years, he would drink a lot, but every 4 or 5 years he would say, I'm going to stop drinking. And he meant it at the time. I'm going to stop drinking. I also had an uncle who would come down from out of town to visit us.
Okay.
And my uncle would drink constantly. And so when my uncle would ask my stepfather, hey, let's go get a drink, my stepfather would say, I quit drinking. I don't drink anymore. And
What?
my uncle would raise his voice and say, are you a man or are you a mouse? And so he would keep saying that. Are you a man or are you a mouse? And then my stepfather would give in and start drinking again
Oh
because
no.
he yielded to the pressure of my uncle, even though he didn't want to drink. But because he looked at that, that's manly to drink. And this is how a lot of us are. And this is the story that I tell people sometimes, because we should not allow others to change our course of improving. A grown man would start drinking again because he wanted to prove to another man that he was a man.
Well, I'm gonna just take a step further. Actually, just why do sometimes when people sometimes give us like smart comments, like they'll say, you may tell a person, you know what, I want to shed 10 pounds, and they may say, well, you don't need to do that. You look perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. How come we're so easily persuaded? Well, we'll sit back and say, well, you know what, you are right. I don't need to do this. Why are we so easily persuaded, brother?
I have 3 words for that: low self-esteem.
Wow.
We have so low self-esteem, many of us. We don't see ourselves for who we really are. We see ourselves as low. We see ourselves as we say, I'm lower than a worm. We say things like that, but we internalize those things. And this is why it's hard for other people to get us off our game plan or our course when we're trying to desperately improve ourselves. Anybody that's watching this broadcast, you know in your heart, and I know in my heart, that every one of us needs to improve in many areas of our lives.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, we don't want to look at how do we improve because we have gotten off course. And so when we see these kind of broadcasts, we watch them for like 30 seconds and we get off because we don't want to face the music. So we're saying to encourage you, don't let anyone change your course of improving yourself, because at the end of the day, Chazz, we have to live with these bitter emotions that we have. We have to live with ourselves. Yes. And this is why many of us have to have an intention of improving our lives, because I'm going to say this, and I promise you, I'll let you say something about this next point. But let's be honest.
Okay.
Many of us, we have no intentions of improving our lives. We have no intentions. We watch these kind of broadcasts, or we read a Bible, we read a Quran, we read the Middle Nature on the walls of the ancient Egyptian pyramids. We read these things, and in our hearts, it makes us feel good. But we don't have any intentions on changing, because all these concepts that we read, these concepts are basically just imaginary. And then some of us, we don't do anything. We don't read. We don't study. We don't do anything. So we're getting older, and we don't see that we're getting stuck in our ways. And there's no one to tell us, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Chazz. As old as you are, you're still acting like a kid. So those are fighting words now, as opposed to encouraging words.
Like I said, and I was just going to say, like back in the day, I think it was a little bit more easier, where I feel like, people will still get more angry. But I think back in the day, you could approach somebody in a family and tell them things they need to improve on without them, getting so angry and vulgar. But nowadays, brother, you really can't talk to too many people, because these people out here nowadays are something.
You might get killed for telling someone or encouraging someone. You might get shot. You might get stabbed. I mean, there's things that may happen to you because people do not want to hear that we need to do better. And here's the irony, and I'll let you read this point, but here's the irony with that.
Okay.
In our hearts, we know that we need to do better. We know these things.
Right.
But we don't want to hear it. We know that we want to hear it. We know that we need to change, I should say, but we don't want to hear it. This shows a sick, a psychotic, a deranged individual. And that's many of us.
Let me ask you this. Like, sometimes when people criticize, do you think that some of us don't want to improve because everything we chalk it up is hating? Like, they'll say, oh, he just hating. That's all that is. I don't think there's nothing wrong with me. He just, or she just hating.
Yeah, because we've gotten into the trap of today's culture. If you encourage someone and constructively criticize them, many of us look at that as hating. See, because we're so negative. We're so negative. We don't know when somebody is helping us.
Right.
When someone is reaching out to us. we can't even see that because we're very defensive. And like you mentioned earlier, if you tell me, Jahi, you know, you've been smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, you might want to cut down, man, because you might mess yourself up later on. And instead of me saying, Chazz, you know what? That's something that I need to look at. I'm going to say, well, you doing something, you doing such and such. And so here we go back and forth. And before you know it, we're bickering, we're arguing, and we're fighting over something that should be done when you initially started, because it wasn't about you, it was about me. But because I can't take criticism, see, I don't want no one to tell me what to do. And this is how sad our world has become.
Letter I, know that self-improvement is for our betterment. Yes, it's for nobody else. Like I said earlier, not our uncles, not our moms, not our fathers, not our sisters, not our brothers. It's for ourselves. It's for our own good. I've said this time and time again. We want to be in a spot where we can look at older or younger pictures and say, 10 years ago, I was this way. Now I'm this way. And to become a little bit better, like I said, in all aspects, financially, mentally, all areas, you should be able to become better. And once again, do not do this for anybody else but yourself. Nobody else.
Which isn't it just true that when we do things about problems in our lives that we need to correct, and that's going to make us better people, isn't that positive? I mean, that's a personal positive decision that was made to better ourselves. So we should want that. We should want that. But a lot of us don't want that. And it's an indication of what we're looking at on these cell phones, what we're listening to. We have stooped to an all-time low, and we're saying that self-improvement is something that's good. It's not bad. Or they may say, man, look at that square, man. He doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. Man, they think they're better than people, man.
Right.
But that person doesn't see that that's not good to accept that kind of that's criticism, and to accept it and then change because of what people are saying about you.
Yeah, and like you said, most of them like to think, they'll say, "Oh, that's whack," or "that's lame," or that's corny. And the things that they're saying that are corny, it's kind of like backwards. The stuff that's good, people label it as corny, and the stuff that people say that's bad, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Vice versa. It's all the way backwards in society in America today. I sometimes question, like, what has this world come to, brother?
Well, I'm going to say this, and people don't realize, but many people like to invest in cars. They like to invest in the stock market if they have the money. They like to invest in music. Many people like to invest in a lot of things, cooking, eating, or whatever the case is. But the best investment you can make is in yourself.
Yeah,
that's the best investment that you can make. And a lot of us don't want to invest in our own lives. This is why I keep going back to saying that so many of us have lost our way, because we've lost our way, and we will not come back, because you, myself, their own personal lives, their own heart can't tell them to do anything, because they got that reptile I was telling you about that has turned on themselves, and they don't know how to defeat this thing. So this is for our betterment. And what about this one, Chazz?
Letter J, self-improvement is acting our age and not our shoe size. Yes, especially in the category of when we don't get what we want, especially materialistic-wise. There's a lot of materialistic things that everybody in this world wants. And when somebody says, you know what, brother, I promise you Friday, I'm going to take you out to eat. And for whatever reason, I cannot come pick you up Friday and take you out to eat. You're not going to call me no more. You're not going to text me no more. You're going to actually probably put up a post on your social media. Man, F Joe's brother Chazz. He ain't this and he ain't that. It is terrible. Adults, not kids, brother. I'm talking about adults who will sit up here and literally stop speaking to people because something showed up and they couldn't deliver a promise that they thought that they could. It's a shame.
And this is a serious problem within all people, but especially within our people. That's why you see so much bickering going on social media, see?
Yeah.
This is why you see so many entertainers going at each other. This is why you see so many family members estranged. This is why you see so many husbands and wives at each other's throats. This is why you see so many girlfriends and boyfriends, sisters and brothers, brothers and brothers, sisters and sisters, nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles. This is why you see so many of us acting the way we act, because we're acting our shoe size and we're not acting our age. In other words, some of us, as you mentioned earlier, are in our 30s, are in our 40s, are in our 50s, are in our 60s, are in our 70s, are in our 80s, are in our 90s. And we still act like we are 15 years old when something comes up. And this is what we're saying. We shouldn't be that way, Chazz. We shouldn't be that way.
I'll take it a step further. Back when, a little bit younger, when I used to go to some of the clubs, everybody saw this at one point in time. Anybody who's listening to this have saw this. When you go to a club, there's, let's say, a group. Mostly this group is for 20s, 30s, and 40s. You'll see an old dude that's in his 60s posted up in the back on the wall, and everybody's looking and laughing because it's like, he has no business in here. What is he doing? This dude is almost 60 years old. I mean, this is exactly what it says on this screen, brother. It's crazy.
Let me get myself together and tell you what that's all about. Some of it. He doesn't want to let go, Chazz. He doesn't want to let go. So he thinks he's young, but he's not. And so he wants to hang with these young boys. This is what he wants to do. But in his mind, he's just like them. But like you said, he's not. He can't outrun them. He can't fight them.
You are crazy, man.
This is what's really going on.
It's exactly. Letter K. Self-improvement requires discipline. There are things that we must give up and or start doing to get personal growth. Yes, and it's not only like you said, cigarettes or always dope. Brother, sugar is and I think I put myself in there as well. It's a tough thing for me to give up. Sugar is so hard, but if I want to get my health at a proper condition, if I don't want to be on diabetes, if I don't want to have dialysis, none of that, I have to give that up because they also say sugar kind of ages a person depending on how much you intake. So yes, it's important to give these things up. They're hard, but brother, we don't want to give these things up because we love them too much. Even if it's to our death, brother, we won't give them up. But that's just how the way the cookie crumbles at times.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. We have a comment.
Sister Barbara says, Hotep, we appreciate her for coming on. Sister Marie says, teach. Y'all are telling the truth. People need to act their age. Grow up, people. We appreciate her comment as well.
And this is true, though, Chazz, because, a lot of us, man, we don't realize that it requires discipline. Discipline is something that a lot of us never received. We don't know how to have discipline because when we were kids, as we got older, whatever we wanted, we pursued it. Right. And this is why a lot of us are dealing with what we're dealing with because there's no discipline. Discipline, you can't always do what you want to do, Chazz. You can't always have your way. You can't always be at the front of the line. You have to accept the fact that sometimes things are not going to go your way. Right. And so when they don't go your way, you got to not act like a little baby and throw temper tantrums. So we are going to have to give up some things, or we're going to have to start doing some things if we really want to grow.
And I was just going to say real quick, discipline is hard, brother. Even myself, there are some days where I say, you know what, I am tired. I would rather be watching TV or watching YouTube or watching Netflix. I have to push myself to get up out of the bed and go to work. I have to push myself, get up and exercise. And like you said, discipline is something that's not taught of enough because society and social media, they teach us the opposite. Grab all the gusto. You only live once. YOLO, all this stuff. And it's like, it's in discipline, I think, is frowned upon in this society because people teach you so much of the opposite. Letter F says, self-improvement should lead to a peace of mind. I'll let you have this one as I take a swig real quick.
It should lead to a peace of mind, self-improvement. But this is why I keep saying over and over again, a lot of us aren't stable. See, we don't like to hear these kinds of things coming from guys like you and I. But a lot of us are really not stable. We have no peace of mind. We're always worrying. We're always busy. We're always arguing. We're always bickering. We're always complaining. We're always doing things because we have no peace of mind. And that's because we have not grasped onto ourselves and took care of those things. See, this is a beautiful session, but a lot of us aren't interested in having a peace of mind because they often say, I just want a peace of mind. In church, that's what we sing. We want a peace of mind. In Islam, we want a peace of mind. In spiritual meetings, everybody wants a peace of mind. Everybody wants a piece of the universe. Everybody wants a positive energy. Everybody wants this, but most of us don't have a peace of mind because all you got to do is tee us off, and you'll
Yeah.
see what kind of mind we have.
And I just lump these two together, brother. Self-improvement, I would say, and bad habits are kind of go hand in hand because that's really something we all need to improve upon. But a lot of the reason why we don't have a peace of mind, brother, we're not replacing these bad habits. We're just
Ooh,
keeping
that's
the bad
good.
habits out, sitting back doing nothing. You have to replace that with something. For example, like I said earlier, if you had an addiction of going to the nightclubs, replace that with saying, well, in the morning, I'll start go jogging. But we're just taking away the nightclubs, and then we're frustrated, we're angry, we're bitter because, like I said, we're not replacing our bad habits with something positive. So it's kind of hand in hand. You have to replace it with something.
And here's something. Here's something that was a Queen BB that just said LOL because she's knowing that the things that we're saying they're funny, but it's so true. Here's something else, Chazz.
Okay, letter M. Celebrate your progress with when you self-improve in the area. Yes, I would say, and a lot of people may say, well, why does he keep signing up to exercise? This is the best what you call
Tell us because we out of shape, man.
With.
Quit playing with him, Chad. Because we out of shape. That's why you keep saying that. Most of us got a stomach that look like a tire. But come on anyway.
No, but here's what I'll say. For example, you've looked and you've told yourself on the calendar, I plan on shedding 15 pounds by the end of the month. The end of the month is here. It's nothing wrong with having a cheat day. So you know what? I'm going to go to Dunkin' Donuts and get me a donut. And like I said, in moderation, not 4, 5, or a whole 12 pack of donuts. Get you a couple, get you some ice cream. It's nothing wrong with celebrating and do it responsibly. Not saying I'm going to go out to the nightclub and get drunk as a dog and come home staggering. You have to, what you call, celebrate in a manner that's not over the top and just mild-mannered, as I would say. It's nothing wrong with celebrating your progress, and don't do it to what you call stun on people either.
We need to do a broadcast on that word celebration because many of us, when we say celebration, it has to do with booze, it has to do with wine, it has to do with dope, it has to do with something to get us out of our mouths. Yeah, so we gotta look at that. But you're right. Most of us, when we do something that we should celebrate as far as self-improvement, we don't say, you know what, Chazz? I've kicked the habit of doing whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to go and tell my friends. I'm going to talk to my family. That's a form of celebration. But nope, meet me at the club. meet me or go get some food, something greasy to kill myself. So we don't know how to celebrate. And this is why the next one, I'll take this one. Ambition for change should motivate us all. In other words, where's the ambition, man? Don't you want to change, man? Don't I want to change?
Nope.
Come on, man. Why you saying that?
No, I was saying that because we said this earlier in the broadcast, brother. We don't want pushback. We don't want things that's going to motivate us to get better. We just want to, sit back and not do nothing at all. Got a comment here. Sister Gloria says, do it in moderation. Yes, that's exactly what I said, especially with the donut analogy. Spot on, sister.
Yeah, exactly.
Letter Q. When we self-improve, we are unlocking the best in us. Yes, I would go ahead.
I was gonna say when we truly have reinforcement, but we don't know where the reinforcement comes from. I'm going to tell you where the reinforcement comes from. The reinforcement is already inside of you. The reinforcement is already inside of me. It's called you. It's called me. We can change. We should want to change. We have what it takes inside of us to stop whatever it is that we're doing or getting the best of us. But because we don't see that, we want to call somebody to help us. Oftentimes, we want to wait for something spiritual to help us. When a lot of times it's us, man, we have what's already inside of us. And if we love ourselves enough, we should want to change those things that need changing in our lives. So we need to stop being heedless. In other words, we need to stop not paying attention to our own maturity, because everybody on this broadcast should be firing away with their comments saying, I know I need to change, but because we hide behind cell phones, as I often say, we hide behind our cell phone and we want people to think that we're perfect, and we're not. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. So that means there's work to do. But a lot of us don't want to come clean and say, I've got a lot of work to do. We want to say little catchy phrases to make people think that we know everything. And that's a problem right there.
Said a handful, brother, on that. I really don't have anything to add to that, but we'll move on to the next one. Letter P. Secret revealed. When we self-improve, we are mastering our mindset, which is the way life should be lived. And I said this, and I'll say it just one last time. When we mastering our mindset, we should look for things that are what you call inspiring us, things that are going to push us to our limit. And once we self-improve in every asset that's possible in our lives, you will see that over time, things that used to stress you out, you're not so stressed out about it. Things that you used to lack in, once you improve in those areas, you'll feel what you say a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah, can you still see me, Chaz? Because I'm having some technical difficulties over here.
That's what I was stopped. I was wondering. I can see you still. I can see you.
Okay, I was trying to send something out to someone,
Okay.
but for some reason I can't bring up myself again. I can't see myself, but you said that you can see me.
Yep,
So
I can see you.
and I don't want to hit this one button, but at any rate, we just need to continue on with the broadcast. But as long as you can see me, that's fine. We need to stop. We need to stop being so thirsty. In other words, there are so many people that are desperate. They gotta have. They gotta have a man. They gotta have a woman. Yeah, Chaz, they do. They gotta have a man.
You got that from me. I said that a couple weeks ago, but go ahead.
They gotta have a man. They gotta have a woman. They want somebody to love them. And I'm saying we're doing it backwards because we need to fix our attitudes first. Then once we fix our attitudes, we get a man, we get a woman that's going to help us. But because we're trying to get a man and a woman, knowing that once we get them, we're going to have some issues because our minds are not right. So as a result of that, we're having some serious problems trying to keep these people, because when they find out how we really are, they're gonna leave us because many of us aren't doing what we're supposed to do. And that's problematic right there. It really is.
Yeah, and I'll just say it real quick, just on that area you just touched on. Most of it has to deal with, brother, we don't know how to treat people. As adults, we do not know how to treat people. Our attitudes are nasty. We are egotistical. And like you said, these attitudes, they have to be checked, brother, because like you said, nobody's going to want to deal with that. Heck, we barely want to deal with ourselves acting like that.
Yeah, that's so true, Chaz. That is really true. Now, I hope I can get back on here because
you're still on.
Okay, because I just did something and I'm trying to get back up here on the screen. Oh, I need to learn how to work these things. I really do. Because this is really okay. Here I am back again. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm shooting in the dark and I hit something. But we had a comment that came in and I want to let you see that.
Sister Mashona's teach. Appreciate you.
So let's go back to some more of these points here. Now we've been talking about how we need to self-improve and it unlocks the best in us. Yeah. But when we self-improve, Chaz, we're mastering our mindset, which is the way life should be. Mm-hmm. Life should be about mastering the mind. Isn't that what everybody's into now? Everybody's into the universe now, you know. Everybody's into something spiritual, you know.
Chakras.
Yeah. And these unks, and we're not knocking it, but we're saying don't use that as a cover-up because many of us, we don't do the things that we say we do. And this is why our minds are not mastered. And so this is why mastering one's mind is crucial.
Yes, letter Q. Self-improvement means embracing your failures. And this is something that we all come short on. Self-improvement. There's nothing wrong with failing at something, because the failure, the funny part, is going to show you what you did wrong so you can get better in that area. But a lot of us like to throw in the towel, just stop off. I knew I was a failure. My uncle said I wasn't going to be nothing, so I knew he was accurate. No, when you fail in something, try to find tips on how to overcome that, so that way you can become better. But don't just throw in the towel, because nobody's perfect. We all fall short in something, and we all need help too, because I think a lot of us think if we fail, that defines us as a person. No, it's not. Everybody fails at something in life.
And let me tell you where a lot of that comes from. We've seen so many movies, or we listen to so many songs, so much music. And at the end of the movie or at the end of the song, everything turns out all right. Everyone lives happily ever after. And so in our hearts, we feel as though if we don't live happily ever after, or we don't get what we want, we see ourselves as failures. And we don't see that failures are a part of life. Right. And this goes back to the mindset that many of us have, because a lot of us don't realize that this is something that we should embrace. If we know we're not perfect, then why won't we embrace our failures?
Because we think we are perfect. we do. A lot of us think we do. I was sorry to cut you off, but if you have some more to say, I'll wait. Go ahead.
That was it. I want to go to the next point there.
Letter R, continue to learn about yourself so that you can make adjustments if and when needed. Yes, we talked about this earlier. That's why it's important to reach out to someone and say, hey, what am I lacking in as far as in this category? When they tell you what you need to, tweak that adjustment. Sometimes they're minor. They're not always major overhauls. They're minor. Tweak it a little bit, and you'll feel better about yourself. Sister Mashana comes in and says, always room for improvement. Yes, and sometimes if you can't reach out to a person and just do a step, and sometimes, brother, let me say this: we have to sometimes be our own man, our own. Quit seeking out. If we want to reach out and email all these gurus and all these people who know everything, you know what's wrong in your life. You know exactly what is wrong, and correct those issues. Quit waiting on another man, and when they don't get back to you, you feel like a piece of garbage. I'm sorry I couldn't read those comments, but we had Sister Glory wrote 3 times. She said,
this is how we grow.
Okay.
Failure is how we grow. Then she says, failure is not bad. And it isn't. But we see it as bad because we always want to win. The boy wants to get the girl at the end of the movie. The man wants to ride off with the woman at the end of the movie. The bad guy is always defeated and the good guy wins. But that's not real life, man. In the music, a guy that was no good and he was really not seen by people as a good guy. And then he goes to a party and a beautiful woman doesn't notice him, but then she catches his eye and he gets the woman and now he's happy because he won. So this is the kind of mindset that we're dealing with, Chazz. This is the kind of awful mindset that we're dealing with. Letter
S. We can all self-improve, so rise and thrive in life. We all can self-improve. We all can do it. As long as you got breath, as long as you're able to walk, talk, see, you can do these things. But I think sometimes we mentally put these things on ourselves, brother. We tell ourselves we can't do this. We tell ourselves you can't do that. And you can do these things. They're not impossible. It's just some of us are too lazy and don't want to put in the work.
What do you mean, Chazz, too lazy?
We just want to sit back, watch Netflix, watch TV, get on social media. We're lazy from the aspect that we don't want to do the things that are important and what should be done.
I think you're telling the truth on that. In fact, I know you're telling the truth on that. And this is problematic. Here's the conclusion. We have a couple more comments, but let's do the conclusion and we'll ride off into the sunset as everybody likes in the movies. We got to ride off in the sunset. Everything got to end up perfectly. And this is a disaster. But this is what we've been taught. So the conclusion is when we conquer the self, there is peace, prosperity, and order that comes into our lives, which is desperately needed for us all. We need this. Most of us adults, we should want our children to be better people. We should want to be better people. We should teach them that self-improvement is something that we should be talking about at our dinner tables. Not LeBron James all the time, not Nicki Minaj, not P. Diddy, not all this stuff, not Cat Williams. We should be talking about how do we improve ourselves. And this is an indictment on us, but this is where we are in life. Now here's Bro Raymond says Black Power, but then he says something about the volume is very low. So I don't know if that's in you or in me, but he says it's low. But then also Gloria says it takes discipline. We talked about that earlier. Discipline is something that a lot of us don't like to talk about. He keeps saying the volume is low. So I mean,
I just cranked mine up to the max. So if it was mine, I hope I fixed it. If anybody in the comment section, can y'all tell us if the volume is still low?
Yeah, because I have it wide open over here. But this goes back when it comes to talking about self-improvement. We have to realize that we have to conquer this thing called the self. We have to master this thing called the self. We can watch as many TV shows. We can look at many TikTok videos. We can do all that stuff, but it's not going to help us if we don't take what's inside of us and work on that and control it. You see, Sister Gloria says she can hear us.
Thank you for commenting back.
Queen BB says it sounds fine. So Ray says something about he can't see his words or anyone else in the chat. Okay.
I was just gonna say, Brother Ray, real quick, if you can. I know we kind of pressed for time. You may want to power your phone off and power it back on and see if that's the issue. Hopefully, it resolves it. I hope it does, brother.
Okay, let's let the cat out the bag. I've sent a couple of notifications to a person that was supposed to come on tonight. She's on now, but she's not on. But she's going to be our guest next week.
Okay.
And it's none other. Wait for it. It's none other than Sister Gloria. Yeah. She's going. She says she has a lot to talk about. Okay. I've gone to her gym, and she's told me that she wants to come on this broadcast and talk about the importance of self-improvement. Yes. She wants to be practical. She wants to be pragmatic as to some of the things that we can do that's reachable. She doesn't want to get too out in space. Okay. She wants us to know these are some tips that she has done to help herself. She's going to talk about her failures, and she's going to talk about how self-improvement is crucial and it's very important. So next Wednesday, if everyone comes back, we're going to have Sister Gloria on, and she's going to do the whole broadcast with us, just like Brother Raymond did. If you want to come on the broadcast, Chazz, what do they need to do? Because it's open for anyone.
It's easy. If you guys don't have our emails and you're just logging on, you can watch the playback and comment. We'll write back. Or you can write on here that, hey, my name is Brother Craig. I want to get on you guys' show. If you guys will have me, and we will likely will. And let me just say this real quick, brother. Me and you, we complain, we don't have nobody that wants to come on. I feel good about this now because a lot of people are coming on. Sister Yoni came on at once. Brother Ray came on. Sister Gloria. And anybody else. So once again, if there is anybody who wants to get on and articulate with us, right in this comment section right here. And if this broadcast is over with and you watch it on the playback, comment again. We'll get the notifications. We'll get back to you, and hopefully, and don't be afraid. We're not gonna bite you. If you want to come on, just we'll talk to you.
Yeah, and there's a thing that's called messaging. You can message us. Just message us and say, "Hey, my name is such and such. Give us your number. We'll call you, and we'll see what the subject is. And because we want you to come on, and we want you to express some serious information, because that's what we need to do nowadays. We need to be serious about these subject matters, and that's why a lot of people aren't interested in this type of broadcast. We like that stuff where somebody just cussing, somebody talking crazy, somebody showing their butt, somebody just rambling, or somebody trying to make you think they know everything, or somebody wants you to think that they're the wisest person that ever have lived. Or we want to hear somebody singing a song that woos us, or we want to see somebody saying some things that we've never heard before. See, this is how low we've stooped. Instead of talking about how do we improve ourselves, how do you stop lying? How do I stop procrastinating? How do we stop being jealous, envious? How and why? And these are the interrogatives that must be answered. But unfortunately, a lot of us are setting very bad examples for our children, for our grandchildren, for our relatives, because we don't want to sit around the table or the broadcast and talk about what we must do to be better people. We rather look at people and idolize people and think we are those people, and yet we're not those people. And yet we're still struggling, because all it takes is for someone to rub us the wrong way. And you're going to find out real soon that somebody's going to let you know what's deep inside of them. These are just words.
Yes. Brother Ray comments says, you stop lying by telling the truth. And he put some little laughing faces.
It's true. It's the truth. He's telling us the truth. You have to, that's just so practical. You want to be able to stop lying, then tell the truth. Say to yourself, I'm going to stop lying. When someone asks me something, I'm going to tell the truth. See, but these are lessons that we don't want to adhere to.
Okay. I was just going to say, what about for the people who may listen? Because they do say biblically that there's a thing called the spirit of lying. The people who lie. Let me ask you, do you believe that there are certain spirits of like anger and lying and
No. I believe that that's you. That's me. That's us. And even if a person, even if we want to put that on the spirit, it still comes from us. So see, that takes the onus off of us when we start that crap. No, that's you lying, Chazz. That's me lying. That's us making a conscious choice, because we have a free will. So we got to stop evading what's really going on in our lives and be honest and say, this is me lying. This is nothing inside of me. This is me lying. And we have to stop that. If not,
Right.
we're going to always blame something on something else, and that way we're off the hook. Well, it ain't me; it's the spirit in me. No, it's you.
or
It's me.
I was gonna say blaming everything on demons. Brother Ray comments and says, "Tell the truth or say nothing." Absolutely. If you can't tell the truth, like this is so cliche. If you don't have anything good to say, then don't say it at all. Same thing applies for lying. Just don't
Yeah,
say anything.
it's sad, Chaz, how nowadays we have grown people
Mm-hmm.
that are so childish, and I'm talking about all of us that
Yes.
are so childish, and we're so silly that we don't even know that we need to improve. We
Mm-hmm.
run from everything. We think that isolating ourselves is best.
Mm.
Getting away from the crowd is going to help us. Well, we got one problem with that. You're still wherever you go. And
Right.
wherever you go, that's where the problem is. It's
Mm-hmm.
not you, it's me. It's
Mm-hmm.
not him, it's me. Because
Mm-hmm.
we all have seen that. And so
Right.
this is a cop out. Well, I got to get away. I got to steal away. I got to go somewhere. No, we understand we all need a vacation. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. We all
Right.
need a vacation. But
Mm-hmm.
if you and I think that getting away from people is going to stop the nonsense that's in our heart, all we're going to do is take it wherever we go.
Right.
We'll take it wherever
Right.
we go.
Yeah. And I was gonna say we all have that relative, or sometimes us, like you said, brother, they blame everybody, everything. It's always the other person. And never have I came across the person says, you know what? That was me all that time. That wasn't them. But we don't want to hold we're afraid to be accountable for our mishaps and our actions. It's terrible.
You know what that means, Chaz. I think we got 3 or 4 minutes. So you already know what that means.
Okay, that's us winding down. It's the end of the show. We appreciate everybody who did view. We truly do. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to stick an hour with us. So we appreciate that. Tonight's topic was about self-improvement. How to self-improve and stop procrastinating in all areas in life, no matter if it's financially, spiritually, physically. We all can improve in something. We all are not perfect either. And when somebody criticizes us, we have to say, you know what? That person is right. He or she isn't lying. Let me see what they're talking about and let me do it. It's not instead of always thinking that people are jealous or hate. No, we need to improve to become better people. I really appreciate this show. Next week, we hope you come back. We're going to be touching this topic up again. We have a special guest that's supposed to be coming. Brother, I really enjoyed this show, and I'll go ahead and pass it to you.
Yes, if the special guest doesn't make it for whatever reason, we'll come up with a brand new topic. If she does, we want her to talk about her testimony as to how did she improve in areas and some of the things that we must look out for, because that's another perspective that we need to look at. Brother Ray said something interesting. There was a song that when I grew up, it was a song by the Commodores, and it says, I like to fly away. The song was called Zoom, and at the end they would repeat, I like to fly away. Well, now, just like we talked about last week with Bob Marley saying everything's going to be all right. He didn't mean that literally. In this Zoom situation that we're talking about, the Commodores, that's a place in our mind. See, that's not reality. There's no place that we can go to that's going to take us to a sense of peace, tranquility all the time. Now, there are places we can go and we can kind of steal away to have some quiet time. But there's always going to be people around us or even in our own hearts that's going to stop the flow of all of that peace because we haven't worked on ourselves. We don't know how to deal with it. But that is a perfect illustration when Raymond says that the song by Zoom with the Commodores, we all ran around here saying, I'd like to fly away. So I say to everyone else too, Chaz, Shem Hotep, Queen Bibi, she says Shem Hotep Rose, which appreciate it. She wants us to go in a perfect peace. And that's what we're talking about today is self-improvement. We want you to know that we speak from our hearts. We speak from our souls. We have passion when we speak about these broadcasts. And we want you all to know that it's something that we all can do. But you have to work on yourself. I have to work on myself. We have to work on our own selves. And then once we start working on ourselves, we'll begin to feel better about ourselves. Quit putting all that stuff in our hearts. Quit putting all that stuff in our minds. Quit putting all that junk into our body. Quit putting all that stuff into our soul. See, we've got to cleanse. And this cleanse is a serious matter. Brother Ray
Yes.
says thank you both. And we say to Ray, we thank him for
Thank
watching.
you, Ray, for
Yeah.
watching.
And
Appreciate
we
it.
can't wait till next week to see what Sister Gloria has to say to us about how do we self-improve. She's going to tell us how she self-improved, and then she's also going to give us some areas that we must look at to maybe do better, or maybe if we struggle in it, but she's going to be practical. So once again, my name is Big Brother Jahi. The other gentleman you see is Chazz. This broadcast is called Adults Only. It can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Please come back next week because we want you all to know that this broadcast is for you. This is your broadcast. That's why we read all of our comments. We want you to know that you're important to us.
Oh, yeah.
What you go through, we go through. We're all humans, and this is why we're not sitting up here as if we have it all together like most of these hosts that you like to watch, like these gurus that you love. And so, Queen segment, she says, peace. And that's what we need, y'all. So we're going to leave this broadcast by saying peace to all of you. And Chazz, I'll see you on next week as we put up some closing remarks. But I'm getting out of here. And if you have anything else to say, I'll let you say it. You'll have the last words. If not, we're going to get out of here.
Just to touch up on what Sister Nuji said, she said peace. We appreciate
I'm
that.
out, Chazz. I'm going to let you do your thing. I'm out.
I'm out as well. That's all I had to say. I hope you guys come back next week, and we really appreciate it.